Hey there, Gail. Thank you for ordering a reading. I really appreciate it. So we are doing a birth card reading for you. Basically, the birth cards, it's like a chart system, kind of like astrology, kind of, but kind of not, attached to your birth date. And so actually, let me pull up your questions because I don't know or your area of focus, I should say, which is money and love for sure. We can definitely take a look and see what's going on there for you. Money actually is very interesting for you because actually you're right about the right age, I would say, for to start seeing an increase. Again, we're going to talk about it more as we go through this. My video looks like it's choppy. I hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, your Mercury is the King of Spades, and the King of Spades, very interesting position. It represents Saturn, even though that, according to the birth chart reading, your Mercury is the King of Spades. I know that's super confusing, but that energy can definitely lead to success later on in life, or like the second half of your life. Success can become more at that time. But let's get started. Your birth card is the Eight of Diamonds. So a very good card, card of being very successful and, needing to be successful, but it is a card of needing to create something on your own in your life, or needing to kind of like make something on your own, if that makes sense. And, it's also a card of like direct effort. It's kind of one of my favorite cards. I think it's a good card for people in general. It's like one of those things where I think it's good, but it can also be bad as well, because it's like it says that, your direct effort, what you directly put into things in your life, is exactly what you're going to get back. It's basically exactly what you are going to earn. So again, if you do nothing, that can be very difficult, and, that can definitely lead to some challenges. Or, you can work really hard and it can, make you very successful. It's also a card of fame. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll be famous, but it does mean that whatever you're doing, you should be trying to stand out. You should be trying to, you should be trying to kind of like put yourself out there in some way. And definitely a card of recognition and achievement. Like I said, it's kind of interesting because, like, to me, it's kind of one of those cards that kind of goes back and forth. It's like on one hand, it's really easy to become very successful with this card. On the other hand, it's kind of hard at the same time because, again, you have to be the one to kind of like put yourself out there to make it happen. But definitely a very good position as well. It's a card that is considered like a master number card as well, Eight of Diamonds, and it's also a card that can represent, like achieving things by like putting yourself out there, but also achieving things through authority figures, through authority, and it's also a card of paying attention to the tiny little details as well. So being born as an Eight of Diamonds, it says that you should be paying attention to like all the little details of things, and again, maybe that's a problem for you, maybe not. Like I said, this is a flip side card. It has two, technically, even though it doesn't have two sides, it has two kind of different meanings. It's pretty much one of the only cards in the deck that has kind of this like flip side type of energy. We could even call it a spectrum of energy because people can fall, like I said, like anywhere in between the two things. But it is a card of like paying attention to little details. It's also a card that's called the Key. And so again, kind of back to small details, it says that there will be a bunch of doors that you need to open throughout life. And again, you might have even felt like this. Like I would say on the extreme end of the scale with this card in life, you could feel like there have been like a lot of gatekeepers, or you can feel like you've had to jump through hoops for things, or whatever the case may be. And again, that's a little bit different than having a hard life, because again, it says that you can get there, but you just have to, find the keys to open the doors, basically. I would say the trick for you is probably knowledge and, kind of learning things to kind of get ahead. It's also a card of authority for you as well. And what that means is that I kind of touched on this earlier, but I got off track there. What it means for you is it's about learning to use your power to kind of be successful instead of trying to push people into things as well. Like I said, there's this give and take type of energy with the Eight of Diamonds. Eight is infinity, on its side. It's that give and take type of energy. I would say the one challenge with this card is learning how to be a leader, but not too pushy at the same time. It's kind of all about balance and learning balance with this card as well. Definitely also about learning to value yourself, because again, it is a diamonds card. Anybody who has a diamonds card as their life card, as their actual birth card, needs to learn how to value, themselves, not based off of what they own, not based off of their things, but based off of themselves, basically what they can provide and things like that. So thinking about what you can provide in life is very important. The other trick with this card is to stay focused. Again, I find that diamonds people in general need to stay focused in general. I'm a diamonds person myself. I have a diamonds birth card as well, and I think that good things to do with this card are to set up like specific like ways of working, especially money wise, for earnings. As far as earnings are concerned, I think that diamonds people tend to want to work for themselves. Not always true, but maybe you've thought about it. Maybe you want to do something on your own. I think it would be a good idea if you don't already. But the trick is to like be hyper focused while you're working, and then do something else. Like I said, I find that people who have this kind of do best by having some sort of like thing where like maybe you like watching TV. Let's just say that, right? Maybe you say, okay, I'm just going to work for. Excuse me. Maybe you just work for an hour, and then maybe you watch TV for a little bit of time, and then you go back and work for an hour. It's like this kind of like thing, needing to set up those kinds of schedules to be successful. Next, in Mercury for communication, you have the King of Spades. This is probably one of my favorite cards in the deck. I actually decided to use this deck in particular. This is my favorite deck, my favorite playing card deck. The art, I think, is awesome on it, and I chose to use this deck because you have the King of Spades. It's pretty much a perfect representation of the King of Spades, this card here, and it represents difficulties, having been through difficulties. But again, he's kind of like, if you can see that there, he has cut the head off of that snake. I always say this is a card of overcoming fears, needing to push yourself through things, and again, remember with that 8 of diamonds, needing to stand out. I would say for you, because it's showing up in Mercury for you, is needing to speak your truth, needing to not be afraid to share things. I would say that also this kind of ties right in with the astrology, because we have Chiron and Pisces. Chiron and Pisces makes us not necessarily want to share our opinions or not want to like offend people and all this other stuff. So, but this card says maybe you need to say something, to kind of like get the words out there in a lot of things. And even it's crazy. I mean, if you notice like in the media and things like that, there have been problems with like free speech, people not wanting certain speech, like all this stuff has come out during Chiron and Pisces. And again, I mean, it's funny to me because it's just no surprise. Whenever Chiron's and Pisces, this is, what happens. This is what we deal with. But this is even more for you because, this card here says you need to not be afraid to speak, you need to kind of get your information out there. Definitely a card of discipline as well. Mercury is our mind, it's how we think and things like that. So like I said, coming up with the 8 of diamonds, I was talking about working and, how to kind of like, come up with some sort of schedule, or maybe you do things you enjoy, but you also get work done, and this is the same thing. It's a card of discipline and needing to be disciplined at this time. Definitely a card of needing to become a leader as well and needing to achieve great success. This is a card that says you've been through battles, but you have learned from those battles. And like I said, it's also a card that to me represents success coming in, kind of more the second half of life for people who have this card. And it's one of those things where it's a chance, it's an opportunity for you to become successful or not. So, like I said, I think it's really, you are one of those few people who I think it's really up to you what level of success you achieve, but you definitely have to like take risks and put yourself out there and things like that. Very intelligent card of great intelligence. This card represents Gemini, so as well. So definitely a card of like intelligence, being multi-talented, having the intelligence to do things, and also the ability to learn new things as well. I think it's a great time to learn new things. I think it's a great time to try something new that you want to do. It's funny, I've been telling people to do this, and a lot of people have been writing me telling me I'm too old to start something new. I'm like, well, I heard this story about a 73-year-old lady who wanted to invest in apartment buildings at 73, and she figured out how to do it. I'm like, so no excuses from anybody. If somebody at that age could figure out how to do something like that, then I think anybody can, basically. So definitely could be a good time for you to do that. Also a very spiritual card as well. It's kind of like one of those cards where, like I said, King of Spades, he doesn't, again, the energy doesn't, he's not very reactive. He just kind of like takes things in and kind of processes them and then makes a decision. He's very thoughtful, thinks a lot before he speaks, and all this other stuff. He has all these like kind of elements to him. And it's just based off of life experience and things like that. Also a card of having big goals. So definitely don't be afraid to chase your goals at this time. I lost your chart, so I have to go back. But you have, and for Venus, you have the Three of Hearts. Three of Hearts is a very good card, but it can definitely say you feel off balance in love. I always say that, if the cards had feelings, the odd numbered cards want to be even. They want something to fill in the space. So it can definitely represent feeling a lack of love through life, or, having some challenges through life. Although, like I said, I consider this to be a very good card. I think for about 8 years, love has been very difficult. And for about 8 years, we've had Pisces and Chiron. Or Chiron and Pisces is what I meant to say. And so, yeah, I don't think it's been the easiest energy if you are looking for love, if you have been looking for love and things like that during that period of time. Again, I can't really explain it because I have no clue. Like, to me, Chiron and Pisces really doesn't mean love. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with love. But at the same time, I almost feel like that's pretty much what has been holding people back from love and things like that. So, yeah, I really feel like after April, love is going to pick up for a lot of people. Even recently, I've been, hearing from a lot of people who've, been single for a long time and have been, finding people, meeting people, all this other stuff. So, it's almost like it's interesting because, again, not to get too far off track here from your reading, but if we look at the astrology, everything is ending in Pisces right now, right? We have had a ton of stuff in Pisces. We still have a few planets and stuff in Pisces, and they're all leaving. And Pisces is the end. Pisces represents endings, new beginnings, things like that. It's a 12th house. So in a lot of ways, I don't know. I really think the time is now. I think people are really kind of getting things that they want at this time, or are being given the opportunity to kind of move forward and get something they want as well. This is a card, especially in Venus, of having passions and kind of having that real strong desire towards passions as well. This goes for love, but it also goes for just passions in general, hobbies, things that you're interested, all this other stuff. It's a card of curiosity, being curious, seeking knowledge, again, King of Spades, kind of seeking knowledge, wanting to have different experiences, and it's definitely a card that says you need to do that. I mean, that's probably your purpose. It's something that you need to do is have different experiences. If you're not having different experiences, then it says you need to. There's been this lie, I don't know how to explain it, but I think I see it in a lot of people that, I think we're taught, go to school, get a career, and you're only allowed to focus on one thing. You're not allowed to experience multiple things. And, even, like I said, I see it in people who are entrepreneurial as well. They want to have multiple businesses, but everybody's oh, you only have to focus on one. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's not what we're supposed to do. And that's what I really feel like about this time right now. I think it's a great time for experimenting. For example, in readings, the weekly readings, Jack of Spades comes up a lot. And that's a card of experimentation, enthusiasm, excitement, having all this excitement for new things and needing to experience new things. So again, having the Three of Hearts here could be a card that says you need to experience new things. You need to experience different things at different times and, just enjoy those experiences and follow things to where they lead you. Like I always tell people, it's maybe you are here to have a bunch of different experiences on something, and maybe all those experiences together lead you to something. So again, don't listen to other people if they tell you to that you need to focus, is what I'm trying to say, because this is a card of kind of being all over the place, like I said, testing out different things. It's also definitely a card of adventuring and needing to adventure for sure. Next, for Mars, you have the Ace of Clubs. Ace of Clubs is my favorite card in the deck for sure. It's a card of curiosity. It's also a card of books and learning and needing to learn. It's a card of mental stimulation as well. We've been severely lacking mental stimulation for a long time astrologically, and I don't know, I feel like it's probably led to some boredom on people's parts. There's nothing new. I always I've been telling people also, I'm think about what's the greatest thing that has come out in the past, I don't know, probably, over 30 years or something like that. You could say the internet, but, it's not really that new. No other major innovations have happened. Nothing major has kind of come about. So I think there's been this real lack of, kind of creativity, but there's also been a lot of restrictions as well. And again, it's funny that your reading fits in perfectly with the astrology and the changes that are coming, because I think you're going to start experiencing these changes. That's why I'm telling you this stuff. But I think with all the Capricorn energy, Capricorn comes in and is saying everything is too inefficient. Everything is too, too difficult, too hard. It's it doesn't surprise me that here in the States, I don't think you're from the States, are you? Where did I put your question? I think you're from somewhere else, but or maybe not. But here in the States, we have, the President Trump got elected. Everybody was panicking about that and everything. But it doesn't surprise me that, he gets into office and he removed a ton of regulations. We're going to see a lot more of this stuff happening because, Capricorn, like I said, comes in and says, you know what, things are too slow. Things are too inefficient. There's no growth happening. There's nothing really new. There's nothing exciting happening. And Capricorn's like, I'm bored. So this is very similar energy. But again, it's probably been like, I don't know, dampened for you for a while. Maybe just because of the energy and all this other stuff. Plus, I feel like if we've tried to do things, we've had a ton of, to me, the energy of the past 8 years has been brutal in a lot of ways. I hesitate to use negative language about it because, I think it's very important for some reason. Obviously, we all had to go through this period of time for some reason to experience things, to learn something, whatever. But the good news is I think it's all changing right now. But, it's like, I feel like the past 8 years have been like, maybe like little bits of success with a lot of failure. And, so I just want to let you know that I think a lot more success is coming in. But again, this is your Mars position, and it does say you need to learn. You need to kind of like keep your brain going. You need some sort of project to work on. I've been telling people all year, like I said, that it'd be a great time to start some sort of project where you just do simply one thing every single day on the project, whether it's like a blog, a YouTube channel, anything. It doesn't even matter. Just some little project that you can work on. Because with Capricorn, the kickoff of Capricorn here, and we just had Mars enter Capricorn yesterday. If we just have like one little thing to work on, by the time Saturn leaves Capricorn in a few years, that whatever that is that we start, could become something that's like really, really successful that leads to, a lot of like major changes and things like that. But definitely a great time for you to learn and explore things that you want to learn about. Next in your Saturn, your chart keeps disappearing on me. And I'm sorry, your Jupiter, you have the Queen of Clubs. Jupiter, of course, is, what we expand, what grows, all this other stuff. But it's also religion, spirituality. It has some things to do with spirituality and things like that as well. But you have the Queen of Clubs. This is a card of appearances and how you appear. It can make you appear larger than life, or it can say that you need to appear larger than life. I would say that based off of everything right here, I think that you need to probably definitely work on your appearance. That could be physical appearance, or it could just be your actual, like, what do you call it, your psyche, your personality and things like that as well, or just needing to put yourself out there. This energy has been coming up a lot. Perfect year to work on it. Jupiter and Scorpio, absolute great time to work on how you appear to other people. Again, in all ways. It doesn't mean just physically. It could be, something else that you want to change. This is a card of like seducing people as well, and, attracting people to you. So I do think that you could experience new changes in attraction. And yeah, definitely a good card for love and things like that as well. Amazing card for communication, even though again, this is Jupiter for you. This is a card that some card reading systems call this card like the card of the sharp tongue or something along those lines. So it can make you very assertive and can make you very decisive as well, which can be good. What I would say is that these things could be underneath. So what I mean by that is that maybe you have those skills, or maybe you have those abilities, but maybe you don't use them, or maybe you could use them. Or you just use them at different times. Also a great card of honesty and being very honest as well. So I like to see that for you as well. Next in your Saturn, finally, you have the Ten of Spades. Ten of Spades is an interesting card as well. It's sometimes called the ship. So it can literally say that work-wise with Saturn that you'd be really good at like doing something with like shipping or sending things out or whatever. And it is a good card of success. A lot of people that were born from, like I'd say like the 50s, like through the 60s have the Ten of Spades in their chart somewhere. And it can be a card that says, it's a card that represents a fear of poverty. I think one of the main reasons for this is that a lot of people born in your generation have parents who grew up in the Depression, obviously. So, I think it's just like passed down and things like that. And it is a card of thinking, like, it's funny that we talked about earlier, the whole, like, go to school, go to college, get a career, and just that. Because, I think that there's a lot of fears of that generation around not having money. So I even think of my grandfather, who's like, who grew up in the Depression, and he was like all panicked that I myself dropped out of college. It just wasn't, just wasn't right for me, and all this other stuff because he wanted me to go to school, get a job, that whole thing. But it's just not who I am. And again, I think people in your generation need to, kind of like follow their passions. I always tell the story to, I think it's Virgo. I have a friend whose dad worked for the post office for like, I don't know, like a billion years, right? And then he found out, and he would like had his whole life planned out, and he's gonna save his money, and then he was gonna live off his pension and retire and do all this other stuff. But here in the States, the post office is like gonna go bankrupt, so he might not even get his pension. But he's passionate about something else, which is barbecue. He has this little like barbecue truck. He drives it around and does this thing. And like for years he like debated. He's like, should I really be doing the barbecue thing, or should I just play it safe and do all this? And finally he took the risk. Long story short, and he's making way more money than he ever did as a postman doing his barbecue thing. So it's all about following your passions. This card is very much like it. It's about needing to take a leap of faith into some sort of thing that you're passionate about work-wise, and just needing to do it. You have a lot of intuitive stuff here, so again, maybe like astrology work, spiritual work, anything like that would be good for you. But also, again, the intuitive cards also could represent passions, just things that you love, things that you enjoy, and needing to do those things at this time. Again, another card that represents the ability to have success in the second half of life, being able to become very successful as well. Next, you have the Five of Clubs for you, and I just want to double check. Yeah, in Uranus, and for some reason it didn't look right to me, but it is. And funny enough, this card kind of represents Uranus. It's a card of surprises, adventure, and needing to go on adventures through life, needing to experience things, needing to experience new things. Also the card of renovation. So it can say that you've been through many renovations during your life. That doesn't mean houses. It could mean that you've renovated houses, but it could also just mean that you have been renovated. You have been changed many times, or you have gone through many different changes. Card of restlessness as well. And definitely a card of like needing to change things up from time to time as well. Like I said, there's like a lot of a very Gemini-like energy here, which is interesting. So it can say that you need variety, and I would say if things get restless for you or things get stale, I would say maybe doing something different or experiencing some sort of variety would be a good idea for you as well at this time, or just changing things up. I think of like when I see people like this right here, like everything you've got here, I think of people who are just like idea people. I think it's hard being an idea person, having big ideas, having big dreams, because it's like hard to get people to understand the value of an idea, right? Without having something solid. So like needing to learn how to ground your ideas is probably going to be very important to you. Needing to learn how to sell, needing how to get those ideas to people, definitely a challenge, but definitely something I think you should do in this lifetime. This is a card of selling. And selling something could be selling yourself, could be like selling actual products, or it could be, whatever, just, constantly needing to sell. I always tell people, learn sales. I think everybody should learn sales. I think it should be a life skill, because no matter what you do in life, you're constantly selling something. You're constantly trying to convince people of something. So, definitely a good card for that. And finally here, we actually have two more cards, but finally in Neptune, you have the Three of Diamonds. Again, another card of feeling off balance. Again, this could be spiritually, kind of like, I don't think it's that bad of a card though, because it can just be like a card of like deciding what you believe and deciding what values you hold and things like that, spiritually mostly, and like just trying to decide like where you stand on certain issues. I mean, it's funny because I feel the same way. I think that's what people don't understand about me, like reading cards. Like, part of me believes it, and then part of me is like I have like another part of me that's very grounded and is like, it's like, is it real? Is it, are these things, true, and all this other stuff. I constantly question things. So, definitely something to think about. I think it's a good way to be. It's kind of like a card when it shows up in Neptune that represents, kind of being more of a devil's advocate, which I think is probably very much needed at this time, especially with Chiron and Pisces for so many years. Chiron makes a very weird orbit. So it stays in like certain signs for 12 years, and then it stays in other signs for like 8 years, because it has like this weird orbit thing. And I think when it's in Pisces, everybody wants to be the same. We become very almost like tribal, very, it's like the collective is Pisces, and everybody wants to be the same. So everybody has the same ideas. So nobody's different, and it causes like all these problems. So definitely good to play the devil's advocate. Next, also, I pulled two extra cards for you for your challenges and your challenging karma, and your supporting karma. For your challenging karma, you have the Queen of Spades. Again, needing to sell yourself, needing to put yourself out there. Queen of Spades, to me, is a card of jumping into darkness. It's a card that says you need to take some sort of risk. You need to jump into some sort of risky thing, or you need to just do something without knowing all the details, and you need to make it happen. And that's what this card says. It just says that, like, maybe you have some ideas in life of what you want to do money-wise or love-wise, or anywhere else, but maybe there are fears that are holding you back. This card just says, jump in. Just do it. Just make it happen, and figure it out as you go along. This is a card of having a fear of, like, not knowing all the answers, but it says, you're not going to die. Everything's going to be fine. You just need to do it. And for your supportive karma, you have the Seven of Clubs, escaping from prison. So definitely a very good card for supportive karma. And it says that you could be escaping from something. You could be kind of like moving forward as well, which is a really good idea. It's also a very step-by-step card. It just says, just take the steps. Just start stepping forward, making small improvements. You don't need to take giant leaps. Just, kind of make things happen at this time. So very interesting. I think we got a lot of information out of that, actually. So that's good. It looks very successful. Like I said, the only person holding you back is you, which is nice, actually, believe it or not, because other people have, like, other external issues, that they can't really control. Yeah, I would just say, take those steps and make something happen, and possibly do something on your own. Three of diamonds, you have the two threes, Three of Hearts, Three of Diamonds. Threes can represent needing to do something on your own as well. It says that you are the missing piece. You are the one that needs to turn your life into the Four of Hearts, Four of Diamonds. So that's what I think about there. But it looks really good. So anyway, I hope this helps, and thank you again for ordering a reading.